Hi, everyone. It's Joe Veneri, the host of Fitt Insider, the show where I talk with the entrepreneurs, executives, and investors who are redefining the business of fitness and wellness. Today, I'm joined by Jason LaRose, CEO of Equinox Media. In this episode, we discuss the SoulCycle at-home bike and Variis by Equinox, the digital platform powering the content and connected fitness experience. We talk about the role of the instructor, music, community, and programming and producing fitness content. Then we look ahead to the return of exercising in person and how Equinox will approach an omnichannel fitness environment. Let's get into it. A quick reminder before we get into today's show. Every Tuesday, we send a weekly newsletter filled with insights and analysis on the business of fitness and wellness. Join other decision makers and industry operators by subscribing at insider.fit.co. Hi, Jason. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Joe.
I think there's so much to talk about and really excited to have this conversation. But to kick things off, can you tell everyone what you're working on at Equinox Media?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working on this fitness as a service platform called Variis by Equinox, which launched earlier this year. And it's an app-based subscription that really brings the best brands in digital fitness, into your pocket. But also powers the SoulCycle at-home bike. So it's been a busy year for us with the pandemic, to say the least.
Sure, and there's a lot in there, and maybe the Equinox Media. There's a lot to unpack. So can you break down maybe Equinox Media, SoulCycle, Variis, like where all these things fit together, and kind of like where you sit in that situation?
Yeah, sure. So we have a holding company. Equinox Holdings is a big player in the space. Obviously, they have the Equinox Fitness Clubs, which are over 100 spread between the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. They're also investors in SoulCycle. SoulCycle has over 100 locations in some of those same countries. Then they also own Blink Fitness, which is a pretty big player in the entry level fitness market. They also own Equinox Hotel, which the first location is in Hudson Yards in New York, and then plus Equinox Media, which is our company. And so the holding company, obviously has a controlling interest in all of those, but we maintain separate interests because we're obviously different levels of expertise, I guess. And so our focus is definitely on the software and the content sides of the business because as the media side, we're closer to that digital and at home experience.
Right. And then within that, focusing on Equinox Media, what does your role look like in maybe your team as it relates to the platform?
Well, look, I mean, as the CEO, hopefully I'm responsible for just helping our teammates, get the most out of themselves. That's the big thing. Hire a bunch of people who are better than you. And hopefully I'm in the midst of doing that right now. But media is the overarching company. Variis by Equinox is the platform. And so we've launched that platform, obviously starting with Equinox members, but also for SoulCycle riders who have purchased the bike or are now just starting to get into the app. So, the platform has really been there to try to bring the best of these kinds of brands into the digital world for the members and the riders who can't always make it to the studio or the club. We used to think that was because work got in the way or sick kids or something. Suddenly in the last 9 months, pandemic has rushed to the top of the list, and there are reasons that we can't always be where we'd like to be.
Absolutely. And it's been a crazy year. And even going back, I think it was like August of last year, Equinox announced the connected fitness equipment, the digital platform, ran into some controversies around some boycotts related to Equinox's parent company. And then you get into 2021 and it's like the coronavirus. I know you have the products slated to launch, getting the bike shipping in May. Just like what happened? What was it like behind the scenes from maybe that announcement to like getting the product launched that you were dealing with?
Yeah. So, I mean, pretty crazy. We were racing toward the beta launch of the app. And the play was to really launch that at South by Southwest in March, which, ironically almost perfectly intersected with, the race up to COVID and when we started locking things down. So we pulled out of that event in the early part of March, maybe the 3rd or so. By the 10th, I think they had canceled the event altogether. But we still had a media event in New York. So we had I don't know, I'll get the number close to right, maybe 60 different outlets show up to cover us and understand what we were building. So we took them all through the experience, appointment-based. So everyone was one by one. And we were already in that place where we weren't shaking hands anymore, but we weren't sure where we were allowed to go, which sounds like a long time ago, but that was, that's what it was like for sure. And so we pivoted quickly away from South by and went from what was going to be a beta launch to a really fast rollout to all Equinox members. So instead of a couple thousand people having it, now I'm in hundreds of thousands of people, have access to the app in just a couple short weeks, just so that we could get them access to the brands and the instructors that they're used to in a world where clubs and studios were being shut down. So that was a big pivot for us in the early part of the year, but it's afforded us a great chance to learn. And more than anything, just a chance to give members and riders a chance to stay engaged with these awesome brands during a time when life was, pretty tough to live normally.
Yeah, it was certainly a crazy time there. And within the fitness industry, it was like this all out pivot to at home remote workouts. And you talk about getting the app launched. So I'm understanding this correctly. Is Equinox Media just the Variis app, or are you also developing the bike and the connected hardware as well?
Yeah, no. So we have responsibility for the connected hardware also. So, media is the overarching company, but Variis by Equinox is the platform, and that platform is delivered both through mobile. So obviously we have that iOS and Android, as well as delivered into the connected hardware. So we're responsible for the bike, but the bike isn't something that we manufacture. It's the same bike that you can get if you ride SoulCycle. So the same, Stages bike that you ride with the same power meter inside of a Soul studio anywhere in the country or around the world. That's the same bike that you're bringing into your home. And we, partner to put a great sound system on the front of it by Harman Kardon. And we really power that software and content experience so that you can get something as immersive as possible when you're at home.
Right. And that was kind of a loaded question because obviously you can have the software and deploy it. There's a host of challenges that come along with that. But with the hardware, right, you have the manufacturing, the logistics, the shipping, getting them out there and delivered. What was that like from a hardware perspective, trying to scale up that business in real time?
Definitely a little bit challenging, right? We prepared for a little bit of a soft launch. And then, this forced induced trial where, people who said they never really liked to work out at home suddenly didn't have an option. And they were racing toward it, and you see it across the industry. So we sold out of our first order of bikes, almost overnight, which is a great problem, I guess. But when you've got to order the bikes and they're being manufactured in Asia, and then you've got to get them through customs, and obviously a lot of things going on with the pandemic in terms of shipping, it was definitely challenging. But we were back in stock here for by the end of Q3 or so, and it's been great for Q4, and we're really, really proud to not only have been able to get it out, but to have, such an amazing response. Right now our net promoter score is incredible. Our average class rating is 4.8 stars out of 5. We've got a customer satisfaction rating over 93%. So, we're really excited that the experience has been incredible. All the while, we're still delivering bikes right now in 1 to 3 weeks. If you bought a bike today, there's a chance we'd have it to you by the end of the year, but we'd certainly have it to you in the first part of January. And so it's certainly been a race, as you can imagine. And you're right, a lot of things to navigate, but we're proud to have been able to get to this place by the end of the year. And we're delighting a lot of people. So it's been a good run.
Yeah, it's exciting to think about. And looking at it from either the app or the equipment, you talked a little bit about it there, but are you able to put any metrics around sales, users, completed workouts to give folks a sense of like how it is being received beyond the net promoter score?
Yeah. So, look, we're a private company, so we don't talk a lot about, raw numbers from a member perspective on purpose, but, you can imagine the scale of Equinox and the scale of SoulCycle and the kinds of riderships and memberships that they have and how passionate they are about these brands. So, you could do a little bit of that math, but, from an experience standpoint right now, we're seeing people who have the SoulCycle bike ride the bike a little more than 3 times a week. And now that we have live classes on there, the people who are riding live classes are actually riding 4 times a week. And when we see that kind of engagement just in the cycle modality, when we also see these people more likely to do sculpt, more likely to do yoga, running, and HIIT, those five are really the five big, big appendages to our business right now. It's been a great run, but like I say, you have a CSAT over 93%. You've got an NPS close to 60. All the while that class ratings are at 4.8, and our app rating inside of the app stores is, I think today it's probably at 4.7 or so. But it's been a good run right now, and people have been overwhelmingly positive about the early launch. So we're very grateful for their help.
Yeah, and there's definitely some key points I want to get into around kind of the content and the programming. And this part might be looking a little bit far ahead, but I wanted to put it out there. I think in the initial announcement, there was talk of a connected treadmill as well. Is that still somewhere on the roadmap, maybe down the road, or maybe not right now, given how much things have ramped up?
Well, I mean, the discussion of the treadmill at the time actually was because of Precision Run. So Precision Run is a boutique running studio that's location in New York is over on 21st Street, close to Flatiron. And so that location has a proprietary treadmill that they co-developed with Woodway. And so that's what was being referenced in there, is that the Precision Run treadmill was a custom treadmill. And so that's what was being referenced. We have an experience on our app that mimics what happens on that treadmill. So it's still counting you up and down into all of your intervals and the way you're being coached. And we handle the lighting the same way, and the way music fades in and out, and all of those things are very reminiscent of what's in the studio. I think the day could come where we, continue to make that tread available in some form at home in conjunction with our partners at PR. But it's not an important part of what we're talking about today.
So firm, maybe we'll look down the road, but it exists. That custom treadmill is like, it's out there. Yeah, we'll take that. And so now looking more specifically at the content and the Variis platform as it exists, obviously, whether it's in the studios or, via the app, the instructor plays such a pivotal role in this. The instructors have become celebrities in their own right. And Equinox has access to really talented folks kind of across brands and modalities. How have you approached building that kind of roster of instructors for the Variis platform?
Well, I mean, we work really closely with the brands. I mean, as I've said, many times to my own team, our job is to be the canvas and allow the brands to be the paint. And so we're just trying to bring the most authentic at-home experience we possibly can to each of these brands. And that means when we go to SoulCycle, we don't have to go through a casting around the world to say who would be good on a bike. We already have hundreds of amazing instructors at SoulCycle. So let's start there. So we're picking from the best of the best right from the beginning. And so we work very closely with the brands to pick the best instructors from their in real life businesses, to bring them in to do the testing and to make sure that we feel great about that experience translating into a digital into a digital medium. But it's been great to work with Equinox and with Soul and Rumble to just take really some of the very best instructors from the coolest cities in our country and bring them into a digital space where they just have a bigger megaphone than ever. So I don't want to downplay that there aren't challenges with it, but like you mentioned, I mean, I'm dealing with great brands and some awesome talent. So, narrowing it down has been harder than finding great people,
Yeah. And given that you mentioned this already, Equinox is a private company, so maybe not getting into all the details, but to the level that you can talk about it, what does that create in terms of the competition for this talent and also compensation structures? Like, how are you getting them on the platform and then saying, hey, this is actually an avenue for you to continue to scale your own brand within it, just given the number of companies who are also competing for that talent?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, in any business like this one where, it's entertainment and instruction, you want the best, and there's certainly competition out there for those people, but there are also a lot of great people out there who need a big enough platform to tell their story. There are so many great instructors and coaches who are really up until now only able to reach the number of people they could see in a physical space, and time and space limit the reach for some of those people. And I think we're just giving them a bigger audience. So we've been excited to work on it, but it's a competitive space. I don't think there's any question about that. When it comes to compensation, I won't get into the compensation models per se, but what I will say is that if you looked at an average SoulCycle instructor in the past, a SoulCycle instructor might be able to ride, let's say, even 2 classes in a day, which is a lot of wear and tear on your body. But 2 classes in a day, a studio has, 60 bikes in each one. So, they may be able to impact 120 people in a day. We can do, multiples on multiples on multiples of that in our business already today. For them, when we think about their reach, and when they reach more people, and many of these people are building their own brands as well, it's a great opportunity for them to just impact more lives and therefore have more reach for the things that they'll be able to do in the future. So it's a really symbiotic relationship, and one that we've enjoyed working on.
Yeah, it's really compelling. A lot of times, so much of the digital fitness experience focuses on the consumer, but it's also really transforming the fitness professional landscape as well. So I think a lot to happen there as this trend continues to play out. One piece that also a pillar of the content is music. And we've seen, Peloton obviously ran into some issues around this, a lawsuit related to the licenses, but SoulCycle especially has been known for curating really great playlists, and it's essential to the experience. So how have you gone through that process and licensing the music to make that experience as compelling as it can be in the home?
Yeah, look, for us, we've just gone right through the front door. We knocked on the door of big partners. As you know, SoulCycle is a great brand. Equinox is a great brand. These are people where music matters. And so we've gone through the front door, gone straight to the labels and the publishers, and said, this is what we want to build. And if we want to build it, how do we find a way to make that work together? And we've had great partnership, from the labels and publishers to pull that off. So we've struck those agreements right up front before we ever had an app even launched. And so there has been no animosity and no need to, for us to go back and forth on any of those things. We've just struck the deal and built a product that has music well integrated into it. And we'll watch and see how our consumption works, and how many of our members, want to use branded music, and how many want to bring their own, and how many want to, download certain playlists afterward, and all those kinds of things. And, we'll behave, based on how they tell us the experience is compelling for them. But the music side of it's been great because we've had great partners.
Yeah. Speaking of partners, we've seen a lot of kind of celebrity musician partnerships. Obviously, Beyonce and Peloton, not a musician, but celebrity Kevin Hart is involved with Hydro. I think an interesting one is Pitbull recently invested in Climber, which is a connected Versa climber. Have you thought about these celebrity musician partnerships and how that plays into the platform?
Well, look, I think we're always exploring what the right partnerships are for us from a brand perspective, and obviously we're in the luxury side of this space. We're in the high performance lifestyle side of this space. So there are a lot of people, artists, entertainers, celebrities who are very close to our brands and have a strong affinity for the brands. And if you scroll through social, you'll see some of those people, riding the Soul Bike or doing their Equinox workouts or working out with their trainers. And if you went into our clubs in cities like LA and New York, and you'll see a lot of those people on a daily basis. So there are a lot of those opportunities, I think, out there for us. But the big thing is just making sure that we choose the right ones. And during COVID, our focus has really been just trying to take care of our existing members and get the bike out there. But I think you'll see some fun stuff from us in the future.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to. Certainly no shortage of opportunities there. Focusing on another pillar of the experience, community is a vital part of fitness, especially when you get into boutique fitness. And now the conversation has shifted to digital communities. How have you thought about building these digital communities in a remote or at-home environment?
Well, it's sort of funny. I think there's a two-pronged path there. One is you build the communities, and some of them, they just happen organically, and you just stay close so you can help them if they need help. And we have both already, which is amazing. The communities that have cropped up for bike owners and for people who love Variis, who are out there of their own volition, just getting together to share best tips about, the best cycle shoes that they like, or, whose favorite instructor for turkey burn rides and those kinds of things. There's a lot of that where they're just helping each other get through it. And we just try to, to passively participate if there are things that we can be helpful with. On the active side, what's really cool is that live has given us a great opportunity. We went into pandemic, or maybe a year ago, if you and I were talking about this, I would have said, all the data we had and all the research we were doing would have suggested that live content was a pretty small portion of what people cared about, because we were all super busy in our lives, and just having it on demand was really critical. Suddenly now we're in pandemic, a lot of people working from home, and appointment-based viewing has become more important. And so we've quickly added live classes to the lineup here during COVID. And those have started to create communities, people who always show up and ride at noon, or people who always show up and do, 6:30, hit class at Equinox, or whatever it might be. Right. So those groups start forming. And so, we share information about who's in the class to the extent you want that profile to be there. Now we're moving into challenges for these groups, and we've launched programs on the platform to help people stick with a certain routine and to get exposed to other modalities and things. So there's been a lot there on the community side that's just been about listening to the member and following along the way that they want to. But they do want to be connected with their friends just as much as they want to be connected with their instructors that they're used to high-fiving on the way out and things. So, we've got a lot more planned in 2021 on that front, but it's been a great start, and it's nice to see people supporting one another at a time when it's hard to be together.
Absolutely. And kind of pivoting from that community piece, the last maybe pillar that I wanted to touch on was the programming itself. Recently, I saw that TB12, Tom Brady's fitness and wellness brand, was added to the platform. So should we expect to see other brands outside of the Equinox portfolio added, or was that like a one-off in terms of adding them?
No, I mean, look, you've obviously got a big brand lineup, as I mentioned, already. And so while Equinox and SoulCycle are businesses that are inside of our portfolio, you go down the run, and you mentioned TB12 with Tom Brady, but Rumble from a boxing perspective, we'll launch Solid Core actually in the first part of 2021, and Sculpt has been a huge win for us. So we're going to continue to find the right brand partnerships, but they have to be the right ones. I mean, that's the thing for us is you want to live in the right neighborhood. And when you look at premium brands and luxury brands like Equinox and SoulCycle, the brands you put alongside them are reflections of the neighborhood you live in. And so we want to make sure that these are brands that are really authentic and compelling in their space, and try to help them have a solution that'll reach even more people with those brands. So those have been great, but they're just adding to the variety. And that's really the key, is to try to keep people engaged in fitness and help them stay on a healthy pursuit. Like, for example, TB12, we just launched TB12, and that content's been out there for, a pretty short period of time. We've seen 20% more members doing recovery workouts that have never done one before. And we know that recovery is a key part to how you get after it again the next day when you want to sweat. And when I think about what Headstrong has done to bring meditation to people who've never meditated before, myself included, and how that's become part of the wellness regimen. And so how these things fit together is really, there's a strategy behind that for us. And so we're looking for the right partners. I don't think you're going to see dozens and dozens more partners from us. We want to make sure that they're the right ones. But where there's somebody who can add something compelling to the mix we're trying to bring to our members, helping them stay on the journey and achieve their goals, I think we're going to keep striking those deals.
And when you look at that experience, obviously with the content is amazing, and people can build out that experience and platform that you offer. Now, hopefully at some point in the near future, gyms and studios begin to reopen, and then you enter that conversation around, the hybrid or omnichannel experience. What are the conversations like at Equinox Media now, and all the portfolio brands thinking about how you leverage this online and in person?
Yeah, well, look, that's why I took this job. I got passionate about this opportunity. I worked for Under Armour for 6 years before I took this role on. And at Under Armour, we had made some acquisitions in this space around connected fitness with MapMyFitness and MyFitnessPal. And I was close to, wearable launches and things like that. So I've been really close to this space for a while. And the belief here, and I think, Harvey and I share this vision together, our chairman, is that the answer is physical and digital, that it's and not or. And we believe that pre-COVID. I believe that post-COVID. I was actually just reading a study a couple weeks ago that said 76% of fitness engaged have now streamed at least one workout during COVID, which is like a 50% jump or something. It's a massive number. But only 30% of them said they like digital over in real life. So you're still living in this world where we all want to go back to the club. We want to go back to SoulCycle. We want to go back to Rumble. We want to go back to Solid Core. And so when we can get back in there, that's still going to be a big part of the routine. But the forced digital trial means that digital is going to become a part of life for a lot more people. And I'm excited about that. So, when I look at our portfolio, hundreds of physical locations, thousands of coaches and instructors, plus these great brands, plus the platform, when I put those things together, I think we can give a membership to people that is just different than what anybody else could build them. And it's certainly premium. It certainly has great brands, but overall it's hopefully the best of what they really want to experience, because they want to go to the club. They want to keep their routine going if they have to travel for work. They want to have the flexibility to miss a workout and still get something done at the end of the day. And they want something that's about high performance lifestyle that includes more than just movement, that is about recovery and nutrition and sleep and those pieces. And so we're excited to bring what we think is the best of the best, but it's definitely unique in this group because of the assets that exist and these brands that have been built over such a strong period of time.
Yeah, 100%. I think unique is the right word, and well-positioned given how things are going to, go back. Maybe the gym is not the central hub of the fitness experience you have, the choice of at home or in the gym or in the studio, whatever it is. But obviously it's going to be some combination of all those things. With that, we've seen $1 billion invested in the digital fitness category this year. Every company, you name it, they've raised tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. Goes without saying, Peloton had an amazing year. And there's a long list of competitors in that space, but just how do you see things playing out? Obviously, you spoke to the physical experience that Equinox is able to bring, but just how does this category play out in general? And does it help more people get moving and make people healthier? Or is this just going to be kind of focused on people who are already exercising and maybe going to the gym before?
I think it's only putting a premium on this space. Now, health and wellness and fitness already had a big tailwind. So, I think it's only going to accelerate from that perspective. And there are a lot more people who are going to be interested in being fit. And so for all of us who are out there trying to remove the barriers to being fit, I'm excited for all of us. And I think that's where the consumer is, which is why you see investors putting a lot of money in the space. But I do believe when I look at, SoulCycle has more than 12,000 first-time riders who showed up to ride SoulCycle outside since SoulCycle Outside launched. Like, that's a massive number for a brand that's been around for a long time. When I look at Equinox, 90% of people walking through the doors of the clubs are still saying, I feel safe here and I'm really ready to come back. And so, like, in the grand scheme of things, I just believe physical is going to be a big part of the overall experience. But for whatever your journey, I think those of us who are in the space trying to make it easier, I think we're fighting the good fight. We're trying to help people live healthier lives. And if you're doing that with a piece of hardware at home or an app on your phone or a trainer or a gym membership or a club membership or whatever, I'm for you. I'm excited for people who are trying to live a healthier life. And I think we're on the journey to helping the people who are the most engaged in this space. But I'm excited for anybody to be on the journey, because I know that, it's a big part of how we just live better lives.
Absolutely. And to your point, health and fitness has certainly moved to the forefront. So it'll be, amazing to watch as things go into the new year. And speaking of, as we wrap up, we'll actually get you out of here on this. As we get into 2021, is there anything we should keep an eye out for or kind of have on the radar from Equinox Media?
Well, look, I think the big thing is, this will be the first year where the whole year we had the bike available and we had it available in all the states and all the markets. So that'll be nice. But we're really excited about launching our partnership with Solid Core in the first part of next year. And then we've got some really cool things coming in the back part of next year when we think about, just human interaction and communities and some of those things. So I won't spoil our roadmap completely, but Solid Core is the next big thing to look for from us in the first part of next year, in addition to just having put Rumble and TB12 out there. So we're stoked to bring those guys onto the platform in the first part of 2021.
Yeah, we'll certainly be following along, and I'm really excited to share this conversation. I think folks will find a lot of value in it. So, Jason, thanks so much for joining us.
No, great. Great to be with you, Joe, and appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's episode. For more from Fitt Insider, visit insider.fit.co and subscribe to our weekly newsletter for insights and analysis on the business of fitness and wellness. Then, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.